Hello. Okay, the girls are coming in. Alright, let's add Miss Kaya. And today, we're waiting for your internet, baby girl. There you are. I hate you. I can't hear you. We can't hear you. This bitch made a set. I am over it. Okay, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, y'all, but don't leave us.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How's it going, bitch? This episode about to be litty.
I know. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today to this week's first episode of Living for Sis. I always want to say Living with Sis, but, So, hello, Kaya. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
For those of you who don't know or may know already, Kaya Nicole Scott is one of my dearest and closest friends. I've known Kaya since I was in the 8th grade. Tamara, we're on live. We're not going to answer the phone right now. I've known Kaya since 8th grade at Bailey Middle School, and we've been, together ever since. So, Kaya, why don't you tell the girls a little bit about yourself? Who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Okay. I am from Houston, Texas. I just recently moved to New York City. What do I do? Everybody's telling me to answer the damn phone. What I do musical theater. But aside from that, I also like to paint and draw and write music and live that stripper life. Make that money. So, yeah, that's my little bit.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today on Living for Sis. I'm talking about Living for Sis. I don't have my write-up right now. But, when we talk about living for ourselves, ever since we're little, it's all about, making other people happy and doing things for other people, to kind of give ourselves that validation. But what I want to explore on this little show is what can we do better to live for ourselves, and not in a selfish way, but in a way that is not living for our dreams, living for contract, living for social media, but living for us so that we can grow. So in moments like this, we have consistent inner peace and inner happiness, so we don't have to depend on things to provide that for us. So Kaya, tell us a little about, let's jump right into it. Who's a bitch you hate?
A bitch I hate is anxiety. Hate that bitch.
You're right. Yeah. Okay, so tell us where you are. What's going on right now? How did this affect you?
I think, it's so strange because there's definitely this has been the perfect time to figure out, because I think, coming right out of school,
mm-hmm.
which a lot of people have,
mm-hmm.
you have this identity in school of whatever field you're in, but specifically musical theater, right after I get out of school, I have to get on Broadway, I have to grind, I have to move to New York, move,
Mm-hmm.
and doing that for, because it's been 2 years,
Yeah.
but doing that, and I know that's not a long time for some people, but coming right out of school, that's a long time to just be consistently going and not nurturing any other parts of yourself.
Yeah.
And so, to have this break, for lack of a better word, what to call it, some days I feel like I know exactly who I am, and I'm I'm that bitch, and then some days I'm like, girl, who the hell are you? Because theater is not a personality trait, and so you had now is a good time to figure that out. And I'm still trying to go back and forth with what I like to do, but so it's still a learning journey. I'm 5 years old, I don't have all the answers, but I do think that I am finding that. And I think after coming out of this, I will have a better understanding of who that is.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because you are someone who I've always known, we talk about it all the time, but you are the makeshift queen. Like you literally can I'm always like Kaya, how are you always busy? Like you and Gavin are always just like two people that are just always busy. I'm like, how are you like that? So that's something I really enjoy about you is like, you did the braids. You use the time that you have to create. And I really enjoy that. So thank you, for providing that for me. I'm living for that within you. So tell me, Kaya, a little bit. Let's talk about your inner voice and following your heart. How often do you listen to your inner voice, and how often do you follow your heart? How often do you let those take lead?
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. Because every time I haven't, things have gone wrong. Every
Mm-hmm.
single time. That's
Yeah.
also coming from somebody like, for my astrology queens in the chat, I very much like believe in and hold heavily to my heart to always follow your intuition, because I think like in your heart of hearts you will never lead yourself wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I deeply believe in it, because every time I followed it, things have always gone right for me.
Mm-hmm.
So my astrology folks, yeah, I see y'all. But yeah, I think it's very important to learn how to trust yourself, because that's also a process too. Sometimes I don't, and when I don't, things go left.
Yeah.
And like it, I mean, that's a learning process in and of itself, to really just trust your gut on things, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really so important. It's really so important.
Wow. Do you feel like there's a time? Do you have a specific time where you have had to rely on your gut feeling and go with it, and what happened?
Absolutely. You're asking like,
Tell us about a time. Yeah.
oh, leaving school and moving to New York.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
that was y'all, that was so scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like so hard and so scary. I mean, there was no guarantee that any money was going to be made. There was no guarantee that I would even be able to like sustain a life. And like now, of course, like with all of this going on, of course, like we're all struggling.
Right.
But at the time when things were good, like that was a really scary move to have to. I mean, I like there was 3 days before I was supposed to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I had like $500 in my bank account, and I remember my mom calling me at like 3 a.m. Days no lay a day. We're in my room or whatever at our old apartment. My mom called me at 3 a.m. and she's like, I just do not understand how this is going to work out. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to move in 3 days. You have no money, And me and Deja hit that club and danced for like 2 days. I left with about $2,000, and I said, "Fuck it, we gonna figure it out," and we did, and we did. But like, I had to, like, you have to make do.
Right.
You can't be scared and wait. I don't think there's ever gonna be time where you feel ready to do something, or like you gotta just jump all in.
Right. Right. So, talk to me a little bit about, I guess, like your childhood. Like, what are some defining moments from your childhood that have carried over to the now that you like learned, or I guess you learned from, and has made you better?
I think, you know what? A big one, because I have an older sister, was learning from that bitch's mistakes. Angel, Angel is my queen, like my idol. But she was bad. She was badass as a teen. And I think learning to observe and learning to listen are very important. You really gotta listen. You really, really gotta listen, because when you listen to other people's experiences, just like listening to this show, you gain so much insight on where other people are.
Right.
Dang, I feel like I'm talking so much. I'm so
sorry.
No,
you're good. You're good.
But I feel like you get a sense of empathy, and you learn. I'm rambling.
I mean, no, they were going, like, that makes total sense. Definitely, like, listening is a key trait. And I've always said that about you and learned that about you, because in our friendship, like, I'm the one who talks and you're the one who listens majority of the time. And it's like what you said, like, everybody has their superpowers, So like totally, like, I totally get that. Do you think, and I already know the answer to you for you, but do you think money can buy you happiness?
I think y'all listen to me when I say this. Listen to me, okay? I'm not saying that the green can buy happiness itself, but I am saying that it can buy the access to the things that will make you happy. So look, hear me out. I know money the root of all evil and all of that. I understand. But it can give you the access to healthcare. It can give you the access to financial stability in which you will be able to live for yourself rather than working fucking 40 hours a week trying to scrape up pennies to fucking, you know, halfway live your dream. When you have money, you can do the whole thing. You can go all in because you have the access to basic human needs. I'm sorry. Man, when people that say money can't buy you happiness, that's what rich people tell poor people. That's pretty much. So, you know, that argument, I'll argue about that all day.
You know, and maybe being on the other side of it, when we get to a point where we're on the other side of it, where we do have the money to buy us access to the things that we need, and then we're unhappy, you know, maybe the question is different then. But so you say, you know, right now you say, bitch, money can buy you things. Money can buy you the access to happiness. And personally, I agree.
Absolutely. But also when you have money, because then when you have money, you have the access to all the things that you need, right?
Yeah.
And then you can access happiness by helping those that are underprivileged than you.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have great joy in that if I had the means. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What you said? Lights blurred.
What you say?
Lights blurred. Yeah. No, I totally get that. And it's interesting because we are people who, you know, we didn't grow up like with money. So like money has never, you know, that's an easy question for some people who have never had money before, you know, who've always had money because they've always had that access. But we are people who, you know, we've always had to scrounge and scavenge and things like that to find the thing and create things to make us happy rather than already having that basic happiness that some people already start off with.
Right.
So period. Tell me a little bit about what is your biggest fear? What is your biggest fear? The girls are talking in the chat today.
I know y'all are lit today.
Yes.
My biggest fear. Oh, that's a hard question. Because had I answered this like 3 months ago, I would say my biggest fear was failure. But like, what the fuck does that mean? That sounded so contrived. I'm sorry. But for real, like, what does that mean to me? And I think I don't know the answer to that yet. And so I can't say that my biggest fear is failure. So right now, my biggest fear is being destitute, to be quite honest.
What is destitute mean?
Destitute as in like not having any, like having no money, no means of survival, which, you know, like things haven't gotten like that brutal on my side. Thankfully, I am blessed that they haven't gotten that bad, you know, but could, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know that's like a surface level answer, but like right now, just being broke a little bit. Yeah. Because then that halts my dreams, right?
Yeah. I feel that. Somebody said dying broke, but the thing is, I hear things about dying broke. If you're not broke, that's kind of the best way to die because
I'm okay with that. You can't take it with you. Can't take it with you.
I don't want to have no money left over. If I didn't work hard and shit, I want it to be done the day I die. I want nobody else. Well, I want other people to have my money. You know, the people that need it. But I don't want it to just be fancy free, honey.
Fancy free.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about, I guess, like, maybe friends and family. Like, how do friends and family play impact in your life? Like, you know, some people, all they have to rely on is family. Some people, all they have to rely on is friends. You know, like how do they have an impact in supporting you and, you know, reinforcing you, things like that?
They're everything. I mean, like to have a community is so important. Especially like in this like fucking wild ass business that we're in, and especially with like the side jobs that I take up with. It's super important to have people that are 100% for you also. And and like you, I know that I, like, as much as we be like being crazy. And as much as I disappear, because it's very important for me to have that alone time, like, I know you will always be there. And I know my mother will always be there. And I know Angel will always be there. You know? It's just very important to have a community that supports you, that shows up like this community is right now, you know, to support you. Because this world can get lonely, bitch.
It does. Which is that, how do you support yourself when you have to be distant from that system? That's an interesting question. I think, how do you support yourself when you have to be distant from that system? Are you talking about the system of familyness? Because you're talking about the distance from the system of family, which is something that I have to do. I have people like you, and I have people like all the people in this chat, and I have a group that I've built myself, because for someone like me, I have family, but I don't necessarily would say sometimes I can rely on my family. So I'm much better to be reliant on my friends. But I think also that's something, you know, for this to be talked about, is living for yourself, is being able to always rely on yourself, and also relying on God, because I like rely on my faith a lot. So I think like that, basically. What do you have to answer that, kind
of? I just do. I make sure that I indulge a lot artistically. I know that, like, I distance myself from that system a lot, and not out of, you know, anything. Wait, from sports. Yeah, so not anything that's like negative, but like, I just, as a person, like, I need a lot of alone time, and so and when I am alone, like, I need to divulge, like, artistically, because it fuels me. Does that am I making sense?
Yeah.
It's very important for me to, like, come back to myself through my art. But, like, my authentic art, not art that I'm making to post on social media, not art that I'm making to satisfy someone else, as we do in musical theater, because you know, we are products in that way. But I mean, like purely just doing art for myself, if that makes sense. So I can come back to myself. It's like a recenter. You know. And of course, like, you know, like meditation and spiritual work, you know what I'm talking about? So that's very important for me to have an abundance of that time, which is why I don't be answering calls and texts all the time. I'm so sorry, y'all. I am the worst. I be disappearing, but it's important.
Okay, good. What makes you unique? When we look at a bitch like Liz Kai and Nicole Scott, you know, what are we here for? What are we living for when it comes to you? What makes you different than the other black bitches? Not the other black bitches, but just the other, not the bitches, but the other bitches, you know?
You know, I don't like, see, unique. There's a lot to unpack here. This is such a weird case. I mean, aside from, like, I don't know. Can you explain the question again?
Okay, so let's bring it to theater then. Okay, so they have you walk into a room, you know, for example, you know, when we look at Kiaya and Cole Scott, what makes you special? What do you think you bring to the table that a lot of other people don't? Because in this life, we have to find out what's our gimmick, you know, like what makes us special, and capitalize off that. Because if we don't know what's special about us, then what are other people supposed to, you know, how like, what are they supposed to think? If I don't think I'm special, then, you know, so what is that for you?
I think a lot of that has to do with, I have a particularly strong drive. And it's so crazy, like, when I, like, fixate on something, as far as, like, as theater goes, like, that whole 2 years, I was like, theater, which is like a little psycho, but, like, I can become very, very hyper focused on a thing, and really have a goal in mind, and, like, it must happen, and I, like, there's no, like, oh, it might, or if it's going to. In my brain, I'm like, it's going to. Now, how do we get there?
And that's something I feel like, too, like, I've developed with you, and we've developed, like, in a way together, because we've always been in situations a lot of the times that have been, like, the control of other people, or the at will of other people. And so we've had to be like, well, it's going to happen because it has to. So let's just figure out a fucking way to make it happen.
Period.
And that's, you know, that's that. So okay. Do you have anything else? Do you think like in the real world? Not not in the real world outside of theater, but the world outside of theater that is like your everyday.
Um, I feel like I am very good in socially as far as like reading people and understanding how people are feeling. I feel like I have a very empathetic nature in the sense that um I can read a room. I can
Yeah.
really, really read a room,
Yeah.
and I can really understand what it is that people are, and I feel like that is so important.
Yeah.
What people want, how people feel, um, and how people move.
You got to know what the fuck
Their
is that.
objectives and their
Yeah.
tactics. I'm a Cancer.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's very, very important to
Mm,
me.
mm,
Is empathy, and I mean, and to like to comfort, hold people within that empathy. I just feel like it's very like people are important, and it's important to treat people right.
mm, mm.
So I guess my Libra's coming out in that way because I feel like there's also like a sense of justice within, like,
Yeah.
I'm about that justice. It be
Yeah.
making me mad when stuff is unfair. It
Yeah.
pisses me off to
Yeah.
the extreme. But yeah, I think I can definitely read a room
Mm,
emotionally for
mm.
sure.
And to get a little fun, let's get a little fun with it. The boys love Miss Kaya. So, tell me a little bit. What do you think the boys really, get from you? What do you serve on a platter that the girls just eat? The boys just eat it right
Kim, it's a mystery. No, just kidding. I I don't know what the I'm not gonna say I don't know what the appeal is. I'm gonna say that
but I know very well.
because anyone can be beautiful. Everyone is beautiful.
Uh,
So I don't know what the extra is.
mm,
I think it has to do with being able to read folks. And when you are a dancer such as myself,
mm.
um, not like a dancer. I mean like a whoa whoa dancer. Whoa whoa dancer. I feel like that has also taught me the art of really being able to communicate. I'm really roundabout about this. I don't know exactly what all I can and cannot say.
No, just say it. This is my platform, so come on.
Okay. So yeah, being a stripper, I think you really like get an understanding of how people work and how they move and how men work and how they move, because they all it's not about body, and it's not about how people look. That's not what it is. It's about how those girls make them feel, and it's about how they communicate with those girls. Like some of those men want to feel like the hero. Some of those men want to feel like the hero, like they're helping someone in need. Some of those men feel like they just want like some dumb girl to tell them they're right all the time. It's really just a preference of. So I'm not saying, ooh, this is getting real dicey.
I mean, just say what's on your heart.
I'm not saying that I use that power or whatever in my day to day, because when I think that subconsciously happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I've learned so much from you about, like being a woman. What it truly means to be one of the girls like yourself. And I think that something that you bring to the table is, something that I feel like in my talent that I have been able to do, and something I've watched you do. You've always been able to serve it up in a way that no questions can be asked. And so that's something that a lot of people don't understand. You can't be a questionable bitch. When you walk into a room and somebody sees you, I need to see you. I don't need to see you plus, minus, subtract. I don't need to see all your flaws. I just want to see you. And that's one thing, we can tell those kind of girls from, and when I say girls, I mean everybody, from the minute they walk in, you know, I can see your flaws, and I don't want to see all that. So when you walk into a room, especially with a group of boys or a group of whoever, casting directors, you know, and they see you and they say, oh, okay, I see this bitch, and I just see her. I don't have to question it. Then I can see myself with you. I can see what happens, you know, what's going on, and I can see you for you. I don't have any questions about that. So I think that's something that, you know, I love about you, that you bring to the table, that just the other girls just sometimes cannot, they can't keep up with. You know, so they you know, they ponder too many questions for themselves. So yeah. Let's talk about giving up. Have there ever been a time where, you know, you've been sitting there and you wanted to, bitch, throw in the towel? You wanted to let it go?
Girl, one time, and that was 2016 or 17, when it was like the 4th time auditioning for that musical theater program where I'm crying in your arms yet again. You remember many times that it happened. And I was like, and I think I told you, I think I was talking to you, and I was like, bitch, this is not for me.
Well, no,
you know, I was like, there's no way it's going to work. Obviously, I am not cut out for this industry. It's over for baby girl. I'll be something else, you know. Not ever again have I ever doubted what I was supposed to be doing.
I mean, that was the time that was like, I guess, like Hairspray had just finished and everything was settling down again. And I remember going into your room and you were like, I'm done. And I was like, oh, this bitch. But from that moment on, it went full-fledged. And, you know, people have told me, you know, right before, you know, you right the moment you want to give up, the shit just pops
up.
Yeah. So yeah, totally. And let's talk a little bit, because I want to give you this platform to speak on this. So let's talk, and I'm gonna get a little dicey.
No, do it.
So you talk a lot about like your dance, you know, not a dancer like Miss Yasmin, you know,
not
you're
like
a dancer,
Miss Yasmin.
you know, you're a dancer, you know, in a different way, you know. So talk about like there's a lot of stigmas in for strippers and for girls like yourself, you know. There's a lot of stigmas because people look at it and they're like, oh, well, you know, sex work, and that's not a rightful living, and that's not a way to live. So talk about, like, why do you think that is something that is incorrect? Why do you think that is a problematic view? You know, talk about it.
I think people get threatened by women who take control of their sexuality, and even more so when they monetize off of it. That is a problem for people, because it's taking back their power. Because it's so funny, because people will talk all day negatively about sex workers of every kind, of strippers, of prostitutes, of cam girls, you know, of people with OnlyFans accounts, you know. But I know in this quarantine, I know y'all motherfuckers are sitting there watching Pornhub more than ever before. More than ever before. Y'all love the work. Somebody needs to do it. It has to be done. But y'all are having a problem that somebody had the agency to take over for themselves and make that choice. And that drives me so crazy. And it's so crazy because people at the club, even people will be like, oh, you're too smart to be here. You're too cute to be here. It's not a matter of me being smart or being cute. I was extra smart because I scammed you out of this money.
Right.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
If we gonna talk about it. So you know, and I've had people walk out on dates when I tell them what I do, you know, literally get mad at me and walk out on dates when they tell them what I do. And it's so crazy because some of the most compassionate, smart, good, kind people are sex workers, for sure.
Yeah.
Are wonderful human beings. And that like really drives me insane.
Yeah.
So, and so I feel like my mission on this earth, when I have the means, which is why I want to work so hard to have the means, because I want to take care of, you know, what I got over here. But then I would really love to be that activist bitch, you know?
Yeah.
Because and also it's dangerous. That stigma that people spread is so dangerous, because that's what puts girls girls like us
Yeah.
puts girls like us in danger, for sure. For sure. And you know, like, many trans women are in the sex work industry, and
Right.
and that's just so dangerous to perpetuate those ideals. And you know,
and
so
we always talk about, like, me and you always talk about, like, oh, like, we are really the kind of the two people, the two part of the two groups that really be getting this shit fucked up, you know. And speaking on, like, the stigma that people have on strippers, you know, there's a lot of stigmas against trans women and things like that.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's important for us to talk about these things, because I'm on this journey myself of looking at, like, what does it mean to be a trans woman? When I'm saying I'm trans, when I say I'm transgendy, you know, what does that mean for me? You know, and it's so, and for a long time it was like, oh, well, I need to be passable, I need to look like a woman, and if I'm not a woman, if I don't look like a woman on this day, then I'm not a trans woman, I'm non-binary, you know. And I'm learning that it does, who the fuck, nobody gets to tell me what it means to be a woman, because I am what I say I am. And I can identify with myself with whatever group that I feel I'm grouped a part of. And I've been looked at for a long time in my life as a woman, not as a man, not, you know. When I was on the football team, you would not believe, you know, the things that they did to me, as if I was one of the girls, you know, and I was a girl amongst men, and that's how I've always felt. So it's interesting. I'll get into that when I have Miss Eva on the show. But thank you for opening up and talking, you know, to us about, you know, that very specific thing. Okay. Let's take a little bit about, like, travel. Like, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go, and like, why? You know, where would you go to live?
To live?
Not to live. Like, I mean, like living, like happiness, like.
Oh, damn. You know, it has been for so long. Like, since I was 12, I have wanted. Oh, excuse me. I have wanted to go to Japan, and I still want to do it. I don't know. That's just been a dream of mine since I was literally 12 years old. Like, I don't know. I want to go to Japan.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I think, you know. Let's tell me, when you hear the word validation, what does that word mean for you?
Validation. It means, when I feel validated, it means that that means that I have been able to identify something in myself in somebody else. And so they have validated that feeling for me. So it's a feeling of not being alone, I guess, when I feel validated. I feel like you validate me often, in the sense that, like, you know, because I have a tendency to, like, really hold things in and try to deal with them by myself. And when I just can't anymore, I call you. Like that issue the other day. Right. Right. And I literally was going crazy. Like, I was literally going crazy by myself. And I was like, I just need to fucking call somebody. Fuck it. I can't deal with this thing on my own. So I called you, and you validated the out of me. and it felt like I, like, had, like, for lack of more tactful words, like, I took an emotional shit, and it felt amazing. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what being validated is to me.
Yeah.
It's like a breath of fresh air, like a sigh of relief.
At what point can that validation get dangerous?
That the validation can get dangerous when you are in a relationship, and not a romantic relationship, but just any kind of relationship, where you are enabling each other to be destructive. When you are validating each other's, say, like, yeah, it's when you're enabling. It's when you are enabling somebody to continue on a path of toxicity. There we go. And yeah, just not being correct.
Okay.
You know, we be calling each other out all the time when we on some bullshit. We'd be like, well, actually, you know,
You
we don't
said,
be validating that shit. Right. We
right.
have our little moment, but then we think back, we reflect, and we're like, you know what? They're probably right.
Yeah. So to round up, talk to me a little bit about what like at the end of the day, you sit down, you know, in the near future, somebody you hear the word successful, and you feel that level of success, and you feel like you have made it. What is that gonna mean for you? What is you know that end all feeling of success? What is your version of success?
Is being able to make a comfortable living wage off of what I do, and being able to lift up, support, and fight for those who have less than me. I feel like there was this pyramid that we learned about a long time ago when we were in grade school. I know this is kind of off track, or not grade school, maybe like middle school. I don't know if anybody remembers what this pyramid was, but there was like, you do your basic needs, your like emotional needs, your mental needs, something, and then giving back was the top of the pyramid. And I that stuck with me. I guess that would be my answer for the childhood thing, but that stuck with me like for so long in my life, because I was like, oh fuck, like it is important to do things for other people. You know, like as a child, I was like, oh fuck. And I think that is when you have really reached its peak, is when you can be a humanitarian about things and really stop caring about yourself and giving to those who are yes, Maslow's hierarchy. Thank you, Kiefer. Yes, that are not as privileged as you, for sure.
All right, well, you know, Miss Kai, we'll be expecting that check.
Yes. And all of my friends who likes this, here's my Venmo and my PayPal. If you want to screenshot that really quick, I'll hold that up for you. You got to make that money. But yes, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you. I have one more question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good.
Love you too, Kiki. Tell me, when you who is somebody that you look up to? Like, who is a successful person that you, or not even successful, but who is just somebody that you look up to, and you're like, you know what, like there are things that this person does, and I take from them. It could be a celebrity, it could be anybody. Like, who is somebody that you look up to?
My sister and my mother. Period. They have done nothing but sacrifice and give and support. And you know, they can be a little crazy sometimes. We are 3 cancers in a household. That shit gets wild. But they have been nothing but nurturing and there for me in their own way all the time. All the time. There's not been a day that I could not count on them to be there for me and to support me. I would not have anything that I have now, or be able to do anything that I have the privilege to do without either of them. They have really invested so much time, support, and money into me. It's like,
and that's what happens when you have people that, you know, support you. Like, you can grow, and I think that's something that is just always missed with a lot of people, with parents, things like that. Like, if you don't support a child, and if you don't give and pour into that child, then they're not going to amount to much, because you didn't give them anything to amount to. But but okay, well, thank you, Miss Kaya, for joining us today on Living for Sis. We had a great time living for you today. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kaya. I love you. I'll talk to you in a bit.
You know, I'm about to call you.
Right. I gotta kick you off.
Okay.
All right, bye. Thank you.